A lot of people are iron toxic today, especially with the amount and the forms that they're ingesting. And it's not just the carbohydrates in the wheat products that you're using that's the problem. It's also the iron fortification that builds up iron that then impacts your pancreas' ability to respond properly to blood sugar surges, and that promotes diabetes and insulin resistance.
What is your favorite way to really get that stuff out where you'll start to see a major upshift in your energy, your overall wellness?
For iron, it's just...
The information you're sharing today is so valuable because it's not theory, it's actual fact because you've seen the physical results.
I don't think people can be healthy on a vegan diet, period. 65% of physical health issues are caused by emotional trauma. You cannot release emotional traumas through talk therapy because most of it you're not consciously aware of.
So a woman's health is so much more sensitive, especially with your hormone changing every day. So what have you seen in the endocrine system for a woman benefiting from the work that you're doing?
So a really good starting place is...
I'm here today with Wendy Myers, a very long-term colleague and friend in the health space. And what we're going to share today with you is golden nuggets. So Wendy has been deep diving into all of the things that help the body to stop aging and even reverse aging. So we're going to get right into it right away. And Wendy, if you could give us a quick snapshot of where you've been, like how you got to where you are now, like where you are currently, but then the story of how you got to where you are so we can get a good framework of who you are for the audience.
My specialty is heavy metal detoxification. I'm very passionate about that and educating people about the health issues that metals and chemicals and toxins cause. But I got there I'm 52 now, but when I was about 37, I just had a baby and I was just not feeling well, even though I was full time working on my health. All day long was spent working on my health, and investing a lot of time and energy and money on it. And I just went to the doctor and figure out what's wrong with me. I just wasn't sleeping. I wasn't losing weight. I was angry, which was not like me. And she found I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman, which I think is very common today. But I was only 37. She wanted to do hormone replacement. And at the time, that didn't resonate with me because I just had misconceptions about that. I should have gone on the hormones. But I just wanted to figure out why my body wasn't making hormones. And so I went on Dr. Google and now, which is like Dr. DuckDuckGo, which is better, just to try to figure out what was going on. And I found that toxins cause low stress hormones, low sex hormones, low thyroid hormones. And I thought, wow, I'd never really thought about that. This is, 15 years ago. And so just started a detox program, found a company that does hair mineral analysis. And I was a little skeptical. I did it and I found out I had all these heavy metals. I had, arsenic. I had really high mercury. I had uranium. Later, I found out I had cesium and thallium. And I just thought, well, where did I get this stuff? I'm so healthy. I'm doing all the things. I'm eating all organic, making the food myself for the most part, taking this huge bag of supplements. I'm exercising. I'm doing everything. What do I have to do to feel good? Really? And I was very frustrated. But when I started on this detox program, so many things started making sense. So many pieces of the puzzle and questions I had about my health were falling into place. And I just went nuts with it and went down this rabbit hole. And then I started writing articles and founded myersdetox.com. And really, I'm still 15 years later, very passionate about educating people about this and, have a podcast and blog all about how heavy metals cause health issues.
And everyone wants to have a high quality of life. They just want to be healthy. They don't want to have to chase their tail and constantly fight battles. So you've tapped in, you're now showing up at a very high level of health physically. Your presence is there. You've done so much work. And the thing I love about what you do is you're also directly connected with people on the ground. You're not, up on the top of a mountain talking down. You're down in the valley with people, and you've been in the valley. You've had your mountaintop experiences. And it really blows my mind how far you've come in just the time I've known you. Just to see your transition of where you come. You're a single mom for most of that time. So you've just been one-on-one, genuinely helping people. That's why the information you're sharing today is so valuable, because it's not theory, it's actual fact, because you've seen the physical results. Because that's why you became more and more well-known, because you deliver so much value to people. So if you could tap into this, let's just start with the heavy metals, how that ages people really fast, and why it's so important to focus on that just to get rid of them and have a nice balanced system.
Yes. Yeah. And so just to preface that, we all get metals and other toxins in the air, food, and water. And so air is the number one way that we get these toxins. And you can control everything in your environment and you're still going to get toxins because you're breathing air. But it's important to identify where there's toxins and the most likely sources and try to make some different changes there. When you've been accumulating this stuff for decades, you've been, eating non-organic food and eating fast food, and, hopefully that might be in the past for you. But a lot of toxins in our environment bioaccumulate. They're forever chemicals. A lot of these pesticides and the Teflons and the forever chemicals, the PFAS, they don't leave our body. They get stuck in our fat, in our brain, in our bones, and they're very resistant to being excreted. So with that, heavy metals age us. And so how they do that is they cause inflammation. There was some recent research that was done that showed that mercury actually caused the most inflammation of the body. Cadmium, was the second, and then lead was the third, and arsenic as well. And so these metals will cause systemic-wide inflammation in the body, which we know leads to a lot of other chronic diseases, heart disease, atherosclerosis, to high blood pressure and things like that. And they also promote high blood sugar. So we have metals like arsenic and iron, and we have other metals that will promote diabetes and insulin resistance and poor blood sugar control. That's going to age you really, really fast. Metals also act like catalysts, so they speed up biological processes in the body. So they will speed up the rate at which you are, like speed up your metabolism, so to speak. In some ways, they slow it down, in others. But just in general, metals will kind of just speed up the rate of aging in your body. They increase the number of free radicals in your body that then use up all of your antioxidants that you make endogenously in your body. And I can go through every organ system and tell you what metals will accumulate in that organ, how they impact that metal's function, impact your digestion, your immune system. And I have articles on my website, every different aspect of your hormones and your health, and 20 to 200 scientific references showing the research making all these connections. And so it's not difficult to make that connection between how these metals and toxins are aging us.
And one thing I've always been told about heavy metals in general is they're a distraction for your immune system. It gets focused on the heavy metals instead of doing the job it should do, like dealing with fungal infections or yeast overgrowth or viral overloads or whatever you want to call it. Any kind of pathogenic toxins in the body are not dealt with nearly as efficiently if you've got these heavy metals as a distraction.
We see in the research that the main metals that impact the immune system are lead, cadmium, arsenic, and mercury being one of the most problematic. And they essentially poison our white blood cells, our neutrophils, and other type of immune cells, and make them work slower. Like they don't want to go hunt for food. They don't want to go hunt for that pathogen that they're supposed to find and destroy. And that's wherein people start having a lot of problems. They get sick a lot, or they even develop cancer, because the immune system, once it becomes super overwhelmed with all these pathogens, it's not able to find that cancer cell that's growing. It's not able to get all these different opportunistic infections like the candida and the other toxins that parasites we all deal with. So detoxing heavy metals definitely restores your immune system function so it can do the things that it's supposed to be doing, which is protect you. you.
And you also mentioned iron, and I think a lot of people are not aware of how devastating free iron is when it accumulates in the body. Can you talk about the healthy iron versus the toxic iron?
So there's different types of iron that our body uses. And so we have ferric iron and ferrous iron. And so when cows eat grass, and by the way, if you spray your grass with iron, it's going to grow super green. It's going to get super lush. It loves it. So when cows eat grass, they turn that into the form of iron that is well absorbed by us. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's really important to eat animal proteins to get, the iron that we need versus fortified products like fortified wheat products and flours. Those are the kind of iron that we don't absorb very well. That will bioaccumulate in our body. Same thing with using a cast iron pot. We're just not taking these little iron chips and just magically utilizing those in our body. So we need that processing plant, the cow, to do that job for us. And you do get some absorbable iron in like the cast iron pots, but the people have way too much iron. Our body, evolutionary wise, doesn't want to let go of iron. And because, back in the day, we didn't eat nearly as much food. So it's because iron carries oxygen, which we need to, our mitochondria need to produce energy and ATP. And the body doesn't let go of iron. So a lot of people are iron toxic today, especially with the amount and the forms that they're ingesting. And it's not just the carbohydrates in the wheat products that you're using that's the problem. It's also the iron fortification that builds up iron that then impacts your pancreas ability to respond properly to blood sugar surges, and that promotes diabetes and insulin resistance. So there's a whole interplay there. So I hope that was clear.
And what are your favorite ways of getting iron out of the body and getting it back in? Because we need certain, and not just iron, but all the heavy metals. We obviously need a certain amount of healthy metals in our body. And what is your favorite way to really get that stuff out where you'll start to see a major upshift in your energy, your overall wellness? Yeah,
really for iron, it's just giving blood. And you don't have to do that very often. I'm not a huge fan of depleting resources of the body, but if you are iron toxic, giving blood is one way to just get that out of the body. And so that's one way. But other than that, the body is very resistant to letting that iron go. So that's just, what I have found to be the best way to get rid of it.
It ties all into the blood sugar pancreas, as you mentioned. It's a big deal because the longer people go with free glucose or free insulin rolling through the system, it's totally toxic. So for like food consumption, what can a person do in the consumption of non-inflammatory foods, for example, to allow that inflammatory particles to go out of the system and to have the body naturally detox?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the paleo diet. I think that's just kind of the, evolutionary wise, when you think about it, millions of years, that's what we've eaten. We've eaten a lot of raw meat. People have cooked meat. They eat vegetables, fruits, seeds, nuts. And that's really that type of diet. It facilitates your body to have good blood sugar control and to just naturally, you'll go down to the natural weight that you're supposed to be. And so I'm not a big fan of extreme diets where people are like vegan. I don't think people can be healthy on a vegan diet, period. I think some people can get by. They have a very well balanced vegetarian diet, though I don't really recommend that. But I think it's just ideally a paleo diet is the best way to go.
As far as measuring the body, really to know where you're at, people want to know. They can't really manage what they're not measuring. And I know you've been into bioenergetics and biofeedback, different types of measuring devices, and also fixing the energy pathways in the body. Can you go into that a little bit?
One of my strategies is I'm very much into anti-aging, but I'm also very much into doing anything that has the highest ROI. So I'm always, whenever I'm doing something, I'm like, what is my return on investment here for my time, energy, and money? So I'm not invested. I've been exposed to all different kinds of things. So for me, bioenergetics gives me the highest ROI of anything that I'm doing because it's very easy. You just, so what I do is I have various types of software that I use where I will scan my body for emotional trauma, for energetic blockages that are caused by heavy metals, emotional trauma, chemicals, EMF, and things like that. I'll also, I'll do a scan of my body, see where in my body there is an energetic block, so to speak. And then I'll send frequencies to my body based on that scan to correct the imbalances in my body. So, we have an energy field that's been found to be about 10 feet in diameter, 3.3 meters in diameter around our body. And this is the governing force of our physical body. So we take in information all the time from our environment. And everything has a frequency that can be measured. So every parasite in your body, every cancer cell, everything, every emotional trauma, everything can be measured. And so why not take advantage of the technology and the software that we have now to detect where you have blockages or deficiencies, and then simply feed in correct operating instructions that then tell the physical body what to do. So it's essentially you're putting in correct operating instructions, so to speak. And for me, it has made the hugest difference in my health, my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, in ways that I couldn't achieve just with diet and supplements and exercise and all those foundational things that we have to do. So I'm just in a big proponent of spreading this message to people, to really encourage them to be open to trying all the different types of bioenergetic software and programs and protocols that are out there. And I can discuss some of those too.
The big thing I think that I found very intriguing about the way you operate is that you allow people to really do it in the comfort of their own home, because the technology is advanced enough that people can do it through the computer or through a device. And so could you give us a background on what that looks like and the kind of investment involved for someone to really get into measuring to know where they're at?
So a really good starting place is something called Energy for Life. And so that's a very sophisticated software tool that you can do a scan at home. You don't have to buy any equipment. We have about a half a dozen practitioners that are trained in this type of software and protocol. And you essentially do a scan, and it tests over 800 different data points. So it's super informative. It tells you all your food sensitivities, like the metals and toxins that you have. Just so much information is in the scan. And then you can take things that are called infoceuticals, or it's just salt water imprinted with frequencies that are determine what you need or the highest priority in the scan. And there's also another device you can get called the My Health. And they have a new one that just came out, and that can also be used to send frequencies to your body. And so I've been using My Health for probably 9 years now. I use it on a daily basis. It's so foundational for my health. And Dr. Mercola has 3 of them, and Ben Greenfield uses them. Just a lot of people that can be doing anything for their health are using this device. And so I use it before I sleep, and I use it for, if I'm stressed, to calm my body down. You can, there's an anti-aging setting. There's a rejuvenation setting to increase stem cell production, which is key for anti-aging. So there's even anti-aging settings. There's just a lot. There's like 200 different functions in this device. But you can get custom functions based on your scan for what you need to correct in that moment. And the scans are scary accurate, especially when it comes to your emotional trauma. There's conventional medical research that's been done, like Kaiser Permanente did a study on 17,000 different people, and we're looking at ACEs, or adverse childhood events. And they found that 65% of physical health issues are caused by emotional trauma. And emotional traumas are frequencies that are in our energy field. That's where they are. They can't find them in the brain cells. There's no physical evidence anywhere for any traumas anywhere in the body. They're stored in our energy field. So you have to fight fire with fire. So if your emotional traumas are in your energy field, that's where they're going to be detected, and that's where they're also going to be released with a frequency that can release that. And so emotional trauma is not released in therapy. You cannot release emotional traumas through talk therapy because most of it you're not consciously aware of. So to release emotional trauma, you do a bioenergetic scan for them and you release them. And it could not be easier to release your emotional traumas, no matter where they came from, whether intergenerational traumas or whatever's going on with you. And this is work that I've done for years, and I get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter every year that I continue on this work. And so I can't stress that enough. And I think it's something that the emotional trauma work is largely overlooked by people. They figure it out at some point on their health journey, but it can't be ignored. And it's something that's super important, easy to do, especially with things like Energy for Life. I also use a software program called Spooky2. And that's a Rife device. We can get into that. There's other devices, like I have a radionics device here, and all of these things can be used to release emotional traumas and to detect other problems that you have going on in your body.
One thing to find out what the problem is, you got to be able to bring a solution, because I've noticed the talk therapy gets people to reenact and talk about their traumas. It's the worst thing they could do because they're bringing it right up into the present every time they do it. It doesn't work. It's locked in. We just want to get rid of it, and that's the technology is out there. And you've been working so long with this and seeing it over and over, not with yourself, but, because you've had a huge benefit because you're like the first test case, but your clients have been majorly upgraded. How many people right now are you involved with in talking to on an ongoing basis from all the platforms?
With Energy for Life, we've had 5,000 people go through that bioenergetic program, which is great. But, with my podcast, we have about 40,000 people a month that are downloading the show with my Myers Detox podcast. And I know probably, we have an email list of, probably 150,000 or more, and just have millions of visitors to the site, to myersdetox.com. So, and I think like my message is resonating with people because my goal is to talk to people about things they're not getting at their doctor. For me, myself, and just searching for my own health and my own answers, I'm like, why can't this simple problem be solved? Like, I don't get it. Why did my father die of esophageal cancer when we have so many tools at our disposal to prevent and to get rid of cancers and things like that? And so I just had a lot of really burning questions, especially when my daughter was diagnosed with autism at a certain age. She's in 100% remission from that. And so for me, it's just been these burning questions that I just couldn't get answers from or solutions from conventional doctors, which, I love diagnostics with conventional medicine. I think there's tremendous value in modern medicine for sure. But for a lot of things, just really falls short. Like, where is the diagnosis of parasites? Where is looking at emotional trauma? Where is looking at heavy metal toxicity? And all these things in the research that are ultra clear undermine our health in big ways. And they're just not being tested for or addressed. So for me, I want to fill in those gaps for people and helping them find those answers so they can really get to the underlying root cause of their health issues.
Everybody does the best they can, get the best sleep, meditate, exercise, eat clean, be mindful. Those are all great. But if you've got those blockages, you go into all the ancient wisdom, going back into classical Chinese medicine, not just traditional, but classical, it was always the energy blocks, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and people are blocked on finances as well. It all ties into their environment and their quality of life. And, our goal is to have the highest possible quality of life in every category we live in. And setting the goal as, which is perfect health. That is the goal. People tell me, oh, you can't have perfect health. And I say, well, you're telling me I can't. Actually, I know I can because I've set that as a goal. Now, if you say you can't have perfect health, you're blocked and you're right. You can't have perfect health. But you can open up, and when we set a goal, we might as well set it at the very top, because then everything shows up. People like you show up, people like me show up, because we had things show up in our life to show us, and we're all here to combine all the gifts and all the wisdom and all the learning. And that's why I love the work you're doing so much, because you're there for women and men, women are definitely more affected by these emotional blockages. And women are traumatized as young girls and coming up into adulthood a lot more than men. And the stresses in life are not good for women. So getting those stresses off, men are designed to take stress. We're supposed to be protecting the female race so that they can be blocked from having all that trauma. But the world has exploited the female race so much, putting it under so much pressure. You got to do this, you got to do that. Guys aren't required to do those things at all. So a woman's health is so much more sensitive, especially with your hormone changes throughout your life, and your hormones are changing every day. So what have you seen in the endocrine system for a woman benefiting from the work that you're doing?
Oh Lord, where do I start? Yeah, it's really shocking when you start looking at the numbers and start looking at how sperm rates have declined so precipitously over the last, 50 years with the introduction of various chemicals and estrogenic substances and estrogenic pesticides and estrogenic plastics and all these things that we are just bathed in every single day. And then, women were much more hormonally complex. We've got 300 hormones that women deal with. And so all of these different toxins just throw a wrench into our hormones, in addition to the many different types of stress that we deal with, and plus our emotional and intergenerational trauma. And so, women, even as early as their 20s, some need to do progesterone replacement and hormone replacement therapy. And I used to be of the onset, like, the mindset that you need to just detox and then your hormones will return to normal. But, detoxification is extremely important because, like I said, there's so many chemicals that are estrogenic, pesticides like atrazine, little frogs in the presence of atrazine only become females. And so hopefully RFK Jr. he's looking to outlaw that, and glyphosate, hopefully. And, in addition to many heavy metals like mercury and arsenic that are metalloestrogens, they mimic estrogen in our body, like these pesticides and plasticizers and parabens and things like that. There's a lot working against our hormones. So I really urge women to do testing as early as possible, even in their 30s. Any kind of sleep disturbance, you for long periods of time, you don't handle stress well, you probably need progesterone. And many women are in estrogen dominance. It's just because they need progesterone. Many people are low testosterone, many men. And so for men, you want to optimize testosterone before you go into hormone replacement. But you reach a certain age, you're going to benefit from hormone or testosterone replacement. And so there, like I said, there's so many things working against our hormones, not only our sex hormones, but our stress hormones and our thyroid hormones, toxins as well affecting those. So it's really beneficial for people to, yes, do detoxification strategies to optimize their hormones, but a lot of people are going to need replacement to feel, function their best.
A couple of things I've tapped into on the endocrine system recently is the experience I've had over the last 5 years with this perfect iodine, which goes into the body. Every cell in your body requires that as an energy. And then it also cleans the halogens out. It gets rid of the chlorine, the fluoride, the bromide that plug up the receptor sites in the thyroid. And when it reacts with those things by neutralizing them, it turns into I minus. So it goes from I2 molecular to I minus or I2 minus, and that's iodide. And then the iodide can fuel the thyroid, which empowers it to produce the proper balance of T3, T4, which supports body temperature, metabolism, reproductive organs, brain function, immune system. And so this is gentle dance. And the other thing we were talking about right before the call was that our largest organ in the body that supports our endocrine system with hormones is the mucosal layer in our intestinal lining. And people get so compromised with that, they've got to build that back up again to be able to produce the hormones we need, just counting on the other glands and organs. So when you've seen gut health affected, because I know you've definitely tapped into gut health, what are your thoughts around that with getting better gut health in general every day going forward.
Yes. Yeah. And I just want to make a comment on the perfect iodine. I take that every single day. You can't make thyroid hormones unless you have iodine. That's what they're made of. T3 is 3 molecules of iodine and T4 is 4 molecules of iodine, period. And where are you getting it? You're not, most people are, not eating as much fish. They're not eating seaweed, most people. So where are you going to get it? There's very little food sources of iodine, and, you don't want to eat that garbage table salt that it's iodine fortified. You're still not getting enough. And you don't want that sodium, 80% sodium table salt throwing off all your mineral metabolism in the body. That's just a kiss of death right there. So I take the perfect iodine. It's amazing. And so as far as gut health is concerned, a lot of heavy metals and toxins that affect our gut microbiome, namely glyphosate, which is sprayed on all conventional products from conventional wheat and conventionally raised vegetables. It's in everything, and around the world too. It's being used, and even in organic produce, about 7% of those have been found to have pesticides on them. But it's certainly, you're going to have way less pesticides in your body and glyphosate if you eat organic. Just the glyphosate alone decimates your gut bacteria. It used to be an antibiotic. It was designed as an antibiotic, and it also chelates minerals from your body. That's how it works as an herbicide, is it goes in and chelates and grabs on all the minerals and sucks them out. And that's how it kills weeds. And that's how it's killing you also. It's decimating your manganese. It's decimating lots of different minerals and your gut bacteria. Lot of things working against our gut. The chlorine water that you're showering in every day. Chlorine kills bacteria, and you're absorbing that in every day and showering in that, killing your skin microbiome, etc. People are taking natural substances that, if they're overdoing it, they can kill their gut bacteria. If they, and people taking antibiotics all the time, destroying your gut microbiome. So if you take, you have an infection, you take an antibiotic, you can kill 50% of your gut bacteria with one dose. And then you have a 25% increased risk of depression following that single dose of antibiotics. Dr. Zach Bush has mentioned that. And so, it's just a handful of things. There's so many other things that are working against our gut microbiome. So super important for me. I have sauerkraut on a daily basis. I have some sort of fermented foods. I'll eat tempeh every once in a while. I will eat, kefir. I'll eat just fermented products. Anytime you see them cultured or fermented, there's a ranch I go to, I get cultured butter. Any place where I can get some bacteria, some kombucha. And I'm doing something on a daily basis to try to replete good gut bacteria and also avoid habits that kill bacteria, minimizing sugar. Smoking destroys your gut bacteria, and many other things. But I like what you said earlier about taking things that increase your mucosa is really important. I think bone and meat broths are great for doing that. Give you lots of collagen and gelatin and things to build up the lining, but not just bone broth. It needs to be bone and meat broth. So we want the stuff that's in the meat also is really an important distinction. And then, like you said, the slippery elm is amazing. Even if it's especially if you're constipated, then it'll just help that poop just slip out, And so that's really important as well. But yeah, the marshmallow root is really important as well. And then there's lots of products out there that will help facilitate, bile production, like phosphatidylcholine is really important to help. That's a building block of bile, which helps to, make everything nice and slippery in there. And that's your natural binder for toxins as well. So yeah, lots of things that you can do to optimize your gut health.
Yeah. One of the things I learned about too is the L-glutamine. It's about 10 grams a day. You don't overdo it, but 10 grams a day for a few months. You just drop down to 5 grams, and that maintains a really healthy mucosal layer. And really, you got to keep that whole digestive tract cleaned out, which is, again, elimination pathways, making sure you're getting the stuff not building up in that area. Now, as far as probiotics, you mentioned the fermented right? That's going to help to go. Do you have a favorite probiotic that you would recommend that people would take every day?
I've never been a big probiotic person, like taking the actual supplements. Though I do like the microbiome labs. They have the Megaspore. That's a really nice one. The Acromancia by Pendulum Labs. That seems to be like a nice one as well. But I think generally, those are getting billions of probiotics and they've done studies, unfortunately, on different yogurts, and they say they have bifidobacteria and they don't. They tested, I forget who did it. They tested like 30 different yogurts and only 2 of them had bifidobacteria, even though they had bifidobacteria on the label. All the yogurts had bifidobacteria. And so they've done research that shows that you have a longer life if you maintain your bifidobacterium levels. And, reduction of bifidobacteria is correlated with, shortened lifespan. So it's really important to eat food that maintain that. So you can just take bifidobacterium, probiotics as well. But it just really kind of shows you, how important these bacteria are to our health and making neurotransmitters, making, nutrients that we need, B vitamins, and you're really not going to be functioning very well if you don't have a good, solid, intact microbiome and you're actively doing things to feed that and protect it.
Right. And the one thing you mentioned earlier that I was going to touch on a while back was you talked about your energetic field being contaminated with the wrong frequencies. And I think, we're getting totally hammered by Wi-Fi and cell towers and 5G or whatever, all these different smart technologies. The equipment you have that you get people to use that puts the right energy in, how does that work to correct the wrong frequencies that are interrupting our overall energy systems?
Yes. So EMF is just one source of, say, frequencies that are non-native, that are really harsh on our body. They affect the waves, the energy field our heart puts out. They affect our brain waves as well. Like for instance, I just got an MRI, for instance, and I was knocked out for 3 days afterwards. Just the magnets decimated my energy field. And I had a major headache the next day. And that's just one example of, that's pretty harsh example. But, we also, people sleep with a smart meter that's sending a signal 25 miles with that in the wall of their bed, or they're sleeping next to a phone that's charging, or they've got, dirty electricity being released in our home, or there's lots of different examples of non-native frequencies that can negatively impact our native frequencies that we produce. They're just not as strong. So they're getting interfered with. The messages our body is sending from one organ to another is getting scrambled, so to speak. So this bioenergetic software I talked about, like Energy for Life, or others, many programs out there that are amazing. They can detect where your body needs some more energy, where it needs different information, where an energy block needs to be cleared, and send that corrective information to you. But it's something that has to be done on an ongoing basis. It's not like you just do it for a few months. You constantly have stuff that you need to work on. So, you want to be finding some sort of program that works for you, whether it's Energy for Life, whether it's like Spooky2. There's many different, there's Zyto is amazing. There's bioresonance. There's all kinds of programs out there that are amazing. And but you want to be doing something. You want to be doing some research on that and figure out what approach you're going to take to making your energy field whole again, and trying to put the correct inputs in there. And you're going to find that your life is going to be a lot easier. You're going to have, you're not going to have all this energy wasted. Your body becomes much more efficient because it's communicating a lot better. Your emotional trauma is going to start being released over time, which you just feel better. You're mentally, emotionally lighter. And I think when you're able to do this kind of foundational work, you have a lot more kind of mental room or energy left over to really step into your life purpose. because you're not constantly battling your physical health or drained of energy or brain fogged or easily stressed, or you just can't calm down, or you can't sleep because you have all these inefficiencies going on in your body, sabotaging your physical health. And, and one thing that's really important to address is parasites as well. And I'm just not a big fan of taking all these herbs and doing all these parasite cleanses. And my Spooky2 Rife, I'll do a scan of my body. It will detect all the critters in my body that aren't supposed to be there, send a specific frequency to me to kill only that critter, only that infection. And it's just gone, within 2 or 3 sessions. And it's that ROI, easy, effective, and relatively inexpensive. I mean, the Rife system, the Spooky2, it's about $3,000, but it's not that expensive when you think about what you spend on doctor's visits and supplements and stuff not covered by insurance. And the fact that they're not even looking at it, or the test they do only test for 10 parasites typically, when there's thousands of them. So you're going to have to at some point be looking at doing something a little bit more sophisticated than some of these functional medical tests. And doing Spooky2, there's 65,000 different programs in this device. And it's unbelievable when you start, learning about it, when you start using it. My mom has one. She's 78. She uses it every day. My brother has one, using it in his clinic. And so we're a Spooky2 family. But this device is unbelievable. And don't take my word for it. There's a Facebook group called Spooky2 Rife for Life. Over 100,000 people in there. Medical doctors, all kinds of people that are using the device at home, super easy. And, no matter what kind of infection you're dealing with, you can zap it within a couple of treatments. And it's really mind blowing. It saves you so many visits, and so much agony as well. And really, for me, what I want is people really taking their power back and being able to have a tool like this in their home where they're able to solve a lot of their problems very easily. You just do a little 30-minute scan. We put these stickers on you and do a little biofeedback scan, and you're off to the races. You're killing stuff you don't even know you have. Stuff that's not detectable on functional medical tests. It's not detectable on MRIs and these other screening tools that you may be doing. So for me, it's incredibly empowering. It gives me that peace of mind that I have never had before in my health, because I know no matter what happens, no matter what pandemic is out there, no matter what is going on with my health, no matter what happens, I have a tool that can address it no matter what it is, and address it quickly and efficiently and easily. And so nothing has brought me peace of mind like doing Rife, like the Spooky2 Rife.
Right. I mean, you break it down. It's, people think something is expensive. As soon as I hear them use that word, they're not thinking investment wise, because these devices last at least 30 years, and you can update them if they have new programs, but it's $100 a year for 30 years at $3,000. So very worthy investment. And the return is, you can't even put a price on it, because if you're feeling better and better and better and able to deal with things and take that concern or that stress of not knowing of your life, it makes all the difference. So that's very good. And one other thing I want to tap into with is I've noticed that people will say, I am exhausted, or I am stressed out, or I am overwhelmed, or whatever they'll say. And if you look at the words I am, if you go into scriptural references, that's God refers to himself as I am. Right? And all of us have molecules in us that are coming from the creation of the world around us. Obviously, we're extremely sophisticated. You got to be very careful what we say. We don't say, I am exhausted. I am energized. I am feeling fantastic. And the body hears that. What have you learned about the body talk and the body responding to what you're saying?
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important, that biology of belief, that the things that you tell yourself are what happen. Like, I have a thing where I've gotten stuck on many times where, like, I'm overweight, I need to lose weight, I'm fat, I can't lose weight like I used to. And all these messages I would tell myself keeps you fat,
Yeah.
and when I flip that, and even in prayer or meditation or commands or whatever you want to call it, you can send different messages to your body, like, I am a fat burning machine. Thank you so much for making my thyroid a powerhouse. And I do this when I go to bed. Thank you so much for 2 hours of REM sleep and 2 hours of deep sleep. And I just go through exactly what I'm wanting to create and to manifest in my body. And that sends the correct messages, the correct operating system, the correct operating instructions. And it's just exactly how bioenergetics works. That message is going through your whole body and sending out a direct chemical messengers to enact the message that you're sending. And so people really have to kind of train their brain, because our brains are designed to look for problems. It's a survival mechanism. I read a great book when I was very young called The Other 90%. And they talk about this survival mechanism kept you alive, a long time ago. If you're constantly scanning your environment for problems. So you have to kind of flip that script and train your body to be thankful for what you want to have happen. So thank God or Jesus or whoever your God is, for whatever it is, like it's already happened. And so sitting in gratitude and just changing those messages that you send to yourself are so, so important. It's a practice like anything.
Right. Another one, my favorite one is, I am perfectly healthy. And the body believes whatever you tell it. And if people get a diagnosis of whatever it might be that would be life-threatening or debilitating, that's a prediction or a prophecy that's put on them that they can't accept. I am perfectly healthy, and therefore, whatever that thing is going to go away. It's going to be dealt with. And it's all the information, the knowledge, you're a wealth of knowledge when it comes to how to deal with getting the problems to be removed. And once you remove the problem, you don't need all those remedies anymore. People chase around with thousands of remedies because they haven't found out how to remove the problem. So your work is profound in the fact that you found out how to remove these problems completely. And then you're shining brighter and brighter and brighter all the time. Like you said, lighter and lighter, not just physical weight, just the lightness of, the light purging the darkness, the buoyancy of feeling great. Nothing feels as great as feeling great.
Yeah, no, there's no price you can put on that, for sure.
How should people find you to get more information? Where are the best resources?
Yeah, you can go to myersdetox.com. Any spelling will get you there. And you can go see my podcast. We have almost 600 episodes focused on detoxification, and still a lot more of that conversation to be had. But that's the Myers Detox podcast. And you can find me on all the social media at Myers Detox and on YouTube at Wendy Myers.
Beautiful. Well, that was amazing. And we really focused in and got the definitive info. So I appreciate your time and investment today, Wendy, and sharing all the wealth that you have. That's the true wealth, is how do we have our number one asset. Our body is by far the most valuable asset in our personal existence in the physical world, because we have the biggest portfolio in the world. But if we lose our health, our quality of life, or our body dies, it's a total disconnect. So getting that turned around and getting people to invest in their health, take responsibility. You're providing tools where people can really take responsibility for themselves and feel great about it. There's nothing better than self-care.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have to invest the time, the energy, and learn some new things. And I just beg people to try to think outside the box, and just don't hand over your health or the outcomes of your health, outsource it to another person or like one person. You are so much more powerful than that. And, it doesn't, I'm just like any one of you guys. I've just studied health and read a book here and there and listened to a podcast and, just learn the tools that I need for self-care so that I can take care of myself and my family to the best of my abilities. And so I beg people that just, no matter what is recommended to them by a doctor or any health practitioner you're seeking, to just really, research that and the pros and cons, and if there's other alternatives out there.
Yeah, and just, get enthusiastic about the whole thing. Enthusiasm drives a lot of things, and then it actually inspires people around you, because when you take responsibility and get super healthy, you start to get the youthful glow. It doesn't matter how old you are. It just matters how long you've been doing either the right thing or not the right thing. And it's a beautiful journey. I think we're at a major inflection point in the earth right now as well, for people to tap in and get definitive, because you don't want to have to do too many things. It's overwhelming. Move the biggest rocks. Do the most important things. So I appreciate again the time, Wendy, today, and we're going to wrap up right now. But look forward to future conversations. Love to have more interviews in the future and tap into other areas that we didn't cover today.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me.
All right, my pleasure.